Can you read my brainwaves? Can you hear me? Tommy, can you hear me? Can you hear me calling? Can... Well, looks like everything. Hey, there's one of you. Hey, one of you. The chat works. It seems my voice works. And there's my brainwaves up there. And my golden thread of my free will going up to my Akashic record. One of you left. 1 minute and 14 seconds. Anyway, so what's Christmas about? I want to say hi, everyone. This is your Sensei Al Bob, and I'm coming to you on our channel, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob, and I am your griot. And what is a griot? It is a character who tells you a story. I don't believe a word I say, right? Just let it go into your conscious, subconscious, and superconscious mind, right? You know, gang, back in the day when we were in school and we would write things down after listening to the teacher tell us something, that wasn't to remember, that was to understand. Now, the character dynamic of understanding is that you need to turn it upside down and overstand, meaning, why would you want to understand something and be underneath it when you should, if you want to see over the mountain, you shouldn't be standing in the valley, right? So overstanding is a dynamic where you let all of your prejudices go and you let love's co-creation take you to a place where you can see. And that's where autonomic writing is. Alice Bailey, Madame Blavatsky, the Thule Society, the Theosophical Society, all these people were doing autonomic writing, right? And what's quite interesting is at the turn of the century, the end part of the 19th century, when Tesla was bringing forth high voltage alternating current and neon lights and X-ray and radio and microwave and all these things before the 20th century, and this is a Tesla device up here, these are my cobalt scalar waves coming out of my brain, going into you guys, right? So you can get more of the feedback. And I'd love some feedback with thumbs up, right? So give me some thumbs up, subscribe, hit that bell. Come on, gang. Let's be, part of the cadre. Don't you want to be part of the cadre? Hey. And if you got a place for me to stay, give me a buzz at my the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail and say, hey, Sensei Al Bob, yeah, come visit me down here in the Florida Keys, or, come visit me down in Miami Beach, or come visit me anywhere where it's warm, really, Louisiana, Texas, right? And let's get the bus on the road. Let's put the band in place. Let's have some fun. You can, do whatever you want to do, especially if it makes others happy, right? And last night's live chat was quite a nice one because, I could sense that many people were touched deeply. And again, what's very interesting to me is so last night we had about, 5 or 6 thumbs up and 0 thumbs down. And then before I came on, I see that there's 8 thumbs down and 3 thumbs up. I mean, really? So anyway. But I'm keep knocking these things out for posterity, right? because we're got that window of opportunity. We got 13 months now. Here it is, beginning of December. As of the new year, we'll have 12 um, months of opportunity, right? And you got any questions to ask about that? Come on, chat me, guys. Let's have some interaction here. And pretty much right now is the time to sow your seeds, right? You should get your ducks in a row, as they say, so when spring comes around, you can move forward, right? Have a life you want, get that job you want, do that thing you want, be that career oriented person you want, that's what this 13 months window of opportunity, you can accomplish whatever the frack you want by putting your first with prayer, bless me indeed, enlarge my territory, put your hand on my shoulder and protect me from evil. Keep me from evil so I will do no harm. I think the trolls should be start saying that prayer, right? And our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. That was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Good thoughts bring good words. Good words bring good actions. Good actions bring good deeds. Good deeds bring good outcomes. When you let the anxiety of the negative polarity of our present materialistic illusion, you're not going to have positive outcomes. You're going to be, oh, how am I going to pay my bills? Oh, people are, oh, my dad is like in cahoots with the gremlins and the squirrels, and they're controlling my mind. No, I'm sorry, that doesn't really fit. You are supposed to control your mind, nobody else. Oh, from May until end of November, I was out in the deep green, and I had no TV, no internet, no cable, no satellite, no phone, no electric, nothing to get in the way of positive thoughts, right? So what did I do? I read about 50 books, and I wrote about 6 novels, kind of milking them down to one. So go to xratted.blogspot.com and look for same as it ever was. Don't believe a word I say. And then there's a subtitle, moral majority, family values, Black Widow Spider, and hot pants, right? And that's about 180 pages. And it is written in bard speak. Some people would say poetry, but I'm calling it bard speak. And if you read, and I break it down into like 2 or 1 paragraph little chunks, right? And it's a discourse between the characters and the higher planes, and it goes. So, it's written that you should read it, you know, I give instructions the first thing, how to read this book, and the thing is, you can either read it from the first page to last page, but you have to suspend your disbelief, right? Jamie Hillier, good to see you. Love you, dear Al. Yeah, I love you, Jamie. Great night. That's last night. Yes, it was a very nice chat, right? And I'm just going to keep doing them. I don't care what the trolls do or what YouTube does, but I would suggest, because between now and the first of the year, we're going to see, we've already been seeing, meaning going back to the National Security Act of 1947, we have been chipping away at reality, right? with the dynamics of Majestic 12 ruling the planet. See, there are no nation states. Yes, Jamie. Um, yep, my brainwaves. These are my brainwaves. They're all going out to you guys, right? My shamanic scalar brainwaves are being transmitted through the internet. And the trolls have said, "Well, we're going to take care." Yeah, I hope you guys are taking my YouTube shows and putting them on thumb drives and CD-ROMs and holding on to them for posterity. Our dear friend Dragon did that for me and sent me 3 of them when I was, into maybe 200 shows, and those amazing drawings that I showed you guys on the show, and then they disappeared. And the only 2 people who, I kept them in my little room in a little box, another little sacred box, just like the one the canary in the coal mine unearthed from my stuff, and then they were gone. Oops, what happened to them? Oops. And so I'm not really taking any of this personal because it doesn't really hurt me. I've already lived, I've been living my life for 70 something years. And, when I walk into a room, I'm just me. I'm not trying to be anybody other than me. Now that I am basically, exude meanness, not mean, but my personal free will ascension to love's co-creation. I'm that. And I am here to serve love's co-creation by making you, the cadre, happy, by bringing forth this energy that you can see, flashing, you know, from my higher chakras. This is my chakra radio right up here, and it's sending, um, you know, photonic, shamanic, scalar energy into your heart to enlighten it, right? Yep, I'm shimmering, and I look forward to reading it. Broken signal here. Sorry, Al. Well, such as so I've been talking about the window of opportunity next 13 months. Whatever you want to do, Jamie, and the other 2 of you, you should start getting your ducks in a row. Between now and May, you should, put some deep thought into what you really want to do with your life, and in the next, years, right? Whatever you got left. And everyone has to realize that you have to live every day like it's your last. If you're not ready to die, you're not ready to live. Plato said that. So did Socrates. So did a number of Buddhist, Confucius said that, and Buddha said it, and a lot of people said it. Jesus said it. So that's what I'm trying to, show through my example. I'm not like, oh, it's so people me, blah, 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 blah. What am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. No. I'm here to serve, to open my heart to you, right? So come on, you 3. Let's see some thumbs up on that thumbs up dial. Right now it's at 0. Get some folks to. We need some more subscribers. I mean, almost 50,000 people watch this, but there's only 344 subscribers. Of the cadre. And the number of people who watch it have gotten a hold of me at Gmail at the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, and basically say, "Oh, I love your show. You're really great." And so are you subscribed? Oh no, I'm not that involved. I just like I've stopped watching TV. I've stopped listening to the radio, and I've stopped the internet, and I just kind of keep you rolling. You're like my wallpaper. And well, that's nice, And but it'd be nicer if they really took a physical connection by becoming part of the cadre, right? It'd be really nice if somebody sent me something in my PayPal. I'm starting to wonder if the PayPal thing even works anymore. Because it's pretty obvious that some entities, or I mean, there's obviously a bunch of trolls going after me, but it's really amazing. I can't believe why anyone would waste their time hating me. Hate is an emotion that you have to love someone first. So that's kind of why I kind of think it may be the canary in the coal mine because, you know, um, he, has a, a love hate thing going on with me. And that's okay because I only love him as I love you all. I have nothing in my heart but love. Not my feeling. I'm a human being. I have emotions, so my emotions can be hurt. But, I think with my heart and I feel with my head, right? So when someone does something, instead of me getting upset and then going into the anger, fight or flight mode, I kind of go, why'd they do that, right? And then, and so I think with my heart. And then when it comes to making decisions, I use my heart. But when I'm getting hurt, that's when I think with my head instead of going, I hate that person. No, I kind of go, hmm, why do they do that? Why? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? This is all part of the Socratic, um, you know, psychologic, what Freudian kind of way of looking at things, right? So, yeah. Uh, well, the mass awakening is here, meaning, and it has been here since we left the garden, meaning all it takes is a blink of an eye and we can be back home, right? But we have to suspend our disbelief. We have to suspend our prejudice. And what is prejudice? It's when you falsely believe in something, right? Because everything that religions, governments, you name whatever you might believe in, political ideologies, those are all illusions. They don't exist. The only thing that exists is love's co creation. And that you don't need to believe in, you just have to have faith in, right? So, the awakening is already here, buddy. It's already happening, you know. Um, the problem is, as the story goes about Buddha on the side of the road, and he's like a luminescent, glowing, humming, vibrating, and a tribe goes, "Whoa, look, it's God." No, Buddha was wearing one of these. Um, the guy goes, "So, are you God?" And Buddha goes, "No." "So, what are you, man, magician? What are you?" And Buddha goes, "No." And he goes, "Well, what are you?" And Buddha replies, "I am awake." And that's all we need to be. But being in this avatar of the bag of water, we can, because there's so many crass, low vibration effects of the bag of water, because really our senses, we can only, our eyes, our nose, our taste, our feeling, our hearing, those crass sensory mechanisms can only appreciate, understand, register 0.004% of the universe. The other 99.99, 6% of the universe, we can't see. We can't see an X-ray. We can't see an microwave. We can't see an infrared. Now we've developed instruments that kind of sense it, but just kind of sense it. Doesn't really get the full ramification. We've only just measured gravitational waves. We kind of postulated them, And we're postulating, um, you know, string theory, and we talking about black holes. Well, we just kind of seen them. We're putting instruments out in space and measuring things. Well, that's what the present scholastic world is talking about. Well, these things have already the Greeks, the Romans, Benjamin Franklin, guys like Tesla and Morey and Faraday and Ohm and Crook and guy who invented television. What's his name? All of these guys understood these things. They understood that we're multidimensional unit. We live in a multidimensional universe, and that there were cracks between these universes, and you can. That's when Tesla went to Colorado and did his experiments in the 1880s through the 1890s. He discovered zero-point energy, and when he came back and built Warden Cliffs in Long Island, right where Long Island Lighting Company and Chase Manhattan Bank built the Shoreham nuclear power plant. I mean, physically right on the site, right on the corner of 25A and Tesla Boulevard, right? And why is Brookhaven National Laboratory out there? It's because from the 1840s until today and into the future, they have been doing weird science out there. And Tesla turned the whole eastern Long Island to a gigantic phased array radar antenna, right? And was talking with people in other dimensions and in other time zones and other planets, and this stuff has been going on. Everything you see in the movies is real. Stan Lee, who Marvel Boy, and did Captain America and X-Men and all of that stuff. Spider-Man. These are all true. It's like my novels, based on kind of what happened, kind of like the holy books, not really, but kind of what happened, So you're talking about, the awakening. And so that's where we are. We are already awake. We just have to stay awake, right? And that's why I do these live chats. I put out the shamanic energy. That's why last night's was such a sweet one, because everyone was vibrating with love's co-creation. And that's why, when I get such unbelievable vile things from these, trolls, right? I don't really read them because, when you get a Gmail, you get the first sentence. So you kind of get the drift of what these guys and gals are saying. And this one guy has spent untold hours, producing a YouTube channel where all he does is hate me and talk about killing me, right? Really? I really feel sorry for you guys, Anyone who has to go through that motif, I really, really pity you, because you're not living a life, You're being controlled by these extraneous thoughts, right? And causing you anxiety, right? And worry, to the point where you have to find an external, thing to blame. So you blame me. So fine, but it's not doing you any good, The only thing, and this is what will manifest the awakening, which is already here. Everyone is already awake. But people are fighting tooth and nail, killing people, having wars, so they can stay asleep, right? So it's all about waking up, right? And that's what I'm inviting everyone to do, is to wake up. And that's why I do Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob, And that's why I have more than 700 shows. And I would, go get yourself a dartboard, start throwing that dart, get 3 numbers. 001, that's the first one. 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10, 12 to 100, to 150, 180, 190, 200, 210, 260, whatever it is, start watching them, and pick your top 10, pick your top 50. Pick your top 100. Download them all. Like, Dragon downloaded pretty much all of them. Um, I probably only had 200 or 300 at that time when he did that. Um, but that was great that he did that. And I really, really, and the fact that somehow he got disconnected from the channel. He occasionally drops into my Gmail account, and I said, so just start a new account and come in as somebody else. I mean, the trolls do it all the time. I mean, how do you know? Come on, let's have some thumbs up, guys. There's 4 of you. Let's see some thumbs up. And like last night, there was about 8 thumbs up. Before I went on this, there were about 12 thumbs down, and and 3 thumbs up. I mean, how did they get taken off? Unless people went back and took them down. I have no idea, right? And it's not something that I really care about. All I care about is you. And if you're watching this, or if you go back and watch it when it's not live, that most of you do. There's 50-something thousand, viewing characters, but only 344 subscribers. My cadre. So, it's all good because energetically these shows are put into YouTube, and it bleeds through the whole internet, right? And even if they were, disposed of by Google and YouTube, it doesn't matter because they're already in the DNA of the internet. It's already out there, It's already, it's that pebble in the pond, and the waves go out and out and out. Hey there, Mr. Research. How you doing, buddy? You like my scalar antenna? It's sending my shamanic energy out into the internet. And no matter what Google or YouTube does with this, it's already there. It's already affecting not just this planet, not just the solar system, but the whole freaking universe, So, as we all do, so say we all, you come and watch this, you basically are connecting to the shamanic energy of love's co-creation, right? Looking snazzy. Thanks, buddy. Give me a thumbs up. Come on, gang. There's 5 of you. How about 5 thumbs up? And get some subscribers, and let's kind of jack this thing up, I mean, I go back and watch these shows. Every single one of them is shamanically charged. Every single one of them, is pretty amazing. Not just because I'm doing it, because you guys are part of it, right? And so here it is, December, I don't know, whatever it is. I guess it's the 5th-ish, right? So I love you all. So let's have a discussion. Ask me some questions. Jamie, Mr. Research, any of the other 2. Oh, thank you. 2 thumbs up, right? So let's have a little discussion, right? What do you want to know about? Let's see. Oh yeah, what the name of this thing? What is Christmas, right? And I remember talking to the old crone about what Christmas was, and see the beauty of the first time I spent with the old crone in, ugly bag water time. I spent about 3 months with her, but within the shamanic pastorale of her farm on top of the mountain, I spent a number of years with her, centuries with her, right? And it was beautiful that, we spent all this time. I learned great things, had very many ceremonial awakenings, and we talked about virtually everything, right? So that gave me, when I came back to Trinity and then came back to New York, I was pretty much changed. And my teachers, Madam Olga Kluver and Billy Kluver and a number of other, my grandma and a number of others kind of said, buddy, you changed, for the good, right? And, and, from birth till I was about, how old was I? About 19 when I went off to that. And I basically, it did alchemically change me, right? Every cell in my body was changed. Bing. And from that, 19 until I was 27, every 7 years, every cell of your body is reborn, change, the little mitochondria is, and I was very conscious of that, right? And then, went off to college and then went, no, I was already at college. That's how I ended up in Trinity. But I kind of quit school and, was just having a great time being an artist and an artistic provocateur, a cultural inspirer, a spiritual fun boy, the minister of fun. That's what I was. And until I realized when I took the etymology of those two words, minister and fun. Minister means the person who tries to own a spiritual nature, and fun is total distraction. So owning a spiritual dynamic through distraction, I had to. That's when I became Sensei Al Bob. Because up until then I was the minister of fun. Cowboy Bob, the minister of fun. So what the crone told me Christmas was the sacrament. Jesus Christ was the sacrament, and that's why in the Catholic Church they have the Eucharist and the wine. This is my body, this is my blood. It's the sacrament of love's co-creation. That's what Jesus was, right? In action. That guy wasn't just sitting on top of a mountain going, Jesus was in action. Everything he did, the Sermon on the Mount, feeding everyone the loaves and the fishes, all his miracles, kicking the money changers out of, the temple. This is the activities of a spirit that is awake and serves love's co-creation. And so that's what we do here in Dreamy Dreamland, right? Now, hey, I'm a muttonhead, a meat puppet, and I'm not awake every minute of the day. I try, I do my best, but, there's, and after dying in that plate of spaghetti, it shook me up, boy. And, instead of me, you know, using my talents working for the corporate state, making a nice chunk of change. No, I am, you know, focused on you, on your well-being. Even the trolls, I'm focused on their well-being. That's I see the trolls as a great, opportunity. This is 13 months of the window of opportunity, and basically this window. So between now and April, you should be getting your ducks in a row, figuring out what you want to do, how you want to do it, what you want to be, right? How to ascend your free will, into love's co-creation, right? Not on how to, get more, um, you know, subscribers on your channel or, get more money or because all of those things will come, you know. When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, "What should I be? Should I be better? Should I be there?" This is what she said to me: "Que sera, sera. Whatever you'll be, you'll be. The future's not mine to see. Que sera, sera. Just be serving loves co-creation by making others happy. That is the theme of life. That is the direction of life. If you're not doing that, you're not alive. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. And I can see the future, right? Because I look at trends. I'm a demonic. But what do I always say? Don't believe anything I say. So the bottom line is we have 13 months, right? Between now and April, you should be getting yourself, go sit on top of a mountain, meditate, and we've done that. 20% in, 30% out. Focus on, the prana coming into your lungs, energizing your blood, seeing the swirl of the photonic light and the scalar energy going into every cell, seeing those cells right now. Look at, hey, Janie Poo, see all, yep, I'm lit. And so see how when the RNA zips apart and that cell opens up, you're looking into infinity of the universe. That's where, you don't need your crass senses to see what's going on, right? So I do that all the time. I'm trying to stay in state as much as I can and be aware. Instead of having a digitally enhanced um, virtual reality, I'm looking at real reality. Love's co-creation. Doris Day. You like that rendition, yes. And so that's where we're at. This 13 months is our preparation. Jamie's talking about the awakening. Well, we need to prepare. It's just not going to, the New Age crowd, I feel so sorry for them because they're kidding themselves. They're like Jim Jones in his little cult, No, you have to be connected to love's co-creation throughout all our relations, everything, you know, furred, scaled, skinned, warm-blooded, cold-blooded, silicate and carbon. Everybody, all our elders into the past and all our children into the future. That's all our relations. That's what we need to be connected to. Not Amazon, not Google, not Facebook. Forget Facebook. There's a really good book about Cambridge Analytics and how Donnie became president. Facebook gave Cambridge Analytics about 100 million um, Facebook users their data. And that's a lot of people to sit through the data to figure out what to say to people to get them to do something. And then through the reference of social media, just keep enhancing that their belief. They're right. They're right. Look at my newsfeed. It always says what I wanted to say. That's how Donnie won, right? And there's this book about Cambridge Analytical, and go read that because it was written by the guy who was the director of research, right? And he tells the whole story of, the Russian involvement and how they connected to individual people and how Cambridge Analytica came to America and did, went to thousands of people, put them in a room and tested them on what they believed and how to make them believe it stronger, which is totally against the law, right? But the person who was in charge of that was Mayor Giuliani. He was the legal, and the person who owned Cambridge Analytic was Steve Bannon and Manafort and moron boy Giuliani. Now, if you're not, and the amazing thing about all of this is that they didn't break any laws because we've had legislators that are owned by people like the Koch brothers. The Koch brothers started the Tea Party, and virtually every other, neoliberal, neoconservative think tank. And they used this guy named James Buchanan, who was an economist, who came from the University of Virginia. And he got a Nobel Prize for he was an economist, and his economic theory was that rich people should pay taxes to give poor people housing, transportation, education, and health care. That if poor people can't pay for it themselves, they should die. And that is the present concept of, I mean, capitalism isn't bad, but what we have is, criminal capitalism. We have, violent capitalism. We have, and we don't have capitalism. Capitalism is where you have competition. We have no competition. You know, when the economy got bailed out by the Fed, and the Federal Reserve has nothing to do with the federal government. They're a private stock held corporation. You know, just wake the frack up, gang. We got 13 months to prepare and wake up, because after those 13 months, meaning a year from, New Year's, um, and if Joe Biden, Jolton Joe, is the Democratic choice, which is what it looks like it's going to be, Donald Trump's going to win, right? Now, Donald Trump, isn't the stable genius he plays himself up, and his body dysmorphia is off the hook, and his diet. I can relate to Donnie. I gained 270 pounds when I worked in the corporate world. Working for the desperate lawyers, living the life of hedonism for 10 years. I gained 270 pounds. So when I died in that plate of spaghetti in 2014, I weighed almost 500 pounds. And today I went to my doctor, and they did he takes really good care of me. And so, I had a full blood test, and my blood pressure is really amazing. My cholesterol is really amazing, because they were off the chart, right? And my blood sugar, my AS1, whatever that averaged blood sugar thing, was 6.2. Amazing, right? And I'm doing this basically with diet. I take a few medicines, and I get medicines from a nonprofit HMO, right? So 90 days worth of my blood pressure medicine, my medicine for my neuropathy, my medicine for my diabetes cost me $10. But when I took that prescription in another state to CVS, they wanted, and I get for $10, I get 90 days worth of my medicines. I went to CVS, and just, the prescription was for 1 month. They wanted $6,800. Now, if this nonprofit HMO can give me these medicines for $10 for 90 days, but CVS wants to. Who is this? I'm gonna let him leave me a voicemail. Oh, look how the music is making my shamanic lights dance. So anyway, yeah, 6:17. I stopped doing business after 5. And what I'm doing here is not business. What this is my love for you guys, right? And so, even though there's only 4 of you watching, this energy goes to not just the cadre, and not just the 50 something thousand people who watch this, but for everyone who is somewhat connected to the internet. This is all going into and it's bouncing through the ethers of the internet and will continue to bounce through the ethers of the internet, you know, for a good forever, because I'm serving love's co-creation. So that's why I'm not too, concerned by the trolls. My basic, not concern, it's more my empathy towards the trolls. I feel sorry for them. I pity them. I wish and hope that that heart that Jane just shows right there, that's my little pebble in the pond of the ether of all of our relations. That we all belong to the great link, right? And so it's all good, right? But you personally got 13 months, right? Between now and April 1st, you should really focus on what you want for your life, right? How you want to serve, what you want to do, what's going to make you happy, the relationships that you have, how are they doing, what do you need to make them better, So, and I am totally at your service because I'm here to serve love's co-creation, and that's what love wants me to do is help you co-create with love, right? So get a hold of me at the dude awake 42 at Gmail and say, hey, bring forth any questions here at the chat. You don't have to unleash your whole freaking heart, but a lot of you do, and that's when the chat is really, when '09 and Buddy and a number of other people who really, put their heart out into the chat. And a lot of times they don't show up a lot because when they do, they are very earnest. And sometimes it's hard. When people are suffering, it's hard to expose that suffering in an earnest way. How people expose their suffering in a neurotic way, in a selfish way, in a narcissistic way, and that's what we see. That's why Donald Trump, he is a great canary in the coal mine. His hair is that color for a reason, He has the most wildest comb over, unbelievable. Yep, Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, not Hotmail, Gmail, right? Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, right? So, everyone can get a hold of me there. Somebody dropped something in my PayPal so I can tell whether it's still on. I mean, people then have dropped in $5, $1. That's cool. Other people have dropped in something other than that, larger sums, which is nice, But what's amazing is that it always comes right when I have no money, and bingo, there it is. And then I pay off whatever that bill I needed to pay. And last week, I was in West Virginia, and I was in this town near Morgantown, where it was, a suburb-ish kind of thing. And there was a Miracle Mile of, the box stores, the supermarket, Walmart, Sam's. Yep, that's it. The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. And thank you, Jane. That's it. So get a hold of me, sweet Jane, and we can have a discussion. And if you live in America, leave your phone number and we can talk on the phone. We can talk. So I stopped in the middle of the road because it was 2 lanes going this way, 2 lanes going that way, and there was a turning lane. It's a 5-lane road. And there was a guy right over there at the light who was in a wheelchair, and he had no legs, right? And he had a little sign said, vet, starving, can you help? And it was sleeting, and he's there in a wheelchair, and he's like just out there, and he's really, obviously been, hadn't taken I haven't taken a shower in 200 days. This guy looked like he hadn't taken a shower in 200 years. And so, and I didn't have any real money. I had about $3 to my name until, 3 weeks later when I would get my, Social Security. And so I stopped and I took everything. I'm a homeless guy living out of my car. So that means there's a lot of junk in my car. So I start pulling it out and it's sleeting. And I first put out a tarp on the road and I start putting the stuff on the tarp and I go looking on the floor and I found $60 in my car. I said, whoa, that's pretty amazing. So I kept 20 and I brought 40 over to him, or 20 to, whatever I found, I gave him half, right? And I went over there and I saw that he didn't really, he had legs. He was sitting on them. And from, a distance, it looked like he had no legs. But when I came to him and handed him the money, he was like really amazed. And I could see, but he's been sitting on his legs all day, so it probably didn't work anyway. So, I mean, he definitely needed that 20, so I gave it to him, right? And I can't remember, 20 or 40. Anyway, half of whatever I found, I gave it to him. And the other half was like, hey, you're doing a good deed, so you get a little, but I had no idea that money was there, It wasn't there last time I looked. Anyway, I put all the stuff back in the car, and the traffic is, luckily it wasn't like heavy traffic, but people were like, what are you doing in the middle of the road? Why are you giving that bum some money? Somebody actually rolled down the window, right? And then as I'm putting the stuff in, I notice in the parking lot, right, less than 50 yards from me, there's a police car, and he's watching me do this the whole, he didn't just show up. He had been watching me do the whole thing. And so I put it all in, and I look over to him, and when I look at police, I can do the Obi-Wan Kenobi. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Well, I can also do the other one. Hey, how you doing, buddy? And I looked at him, and he did this. He didn't, he just gave me not quite a full smile, but he was like eye to eye going like this. And I get in the car, and I drove away. He didn't come and give me a ticket. He didn't hassle me, He look, people were like more agog that I took all the crap out of my car looking for money for the guy in the wheelchair, right? So that's what I'm talking about. That's what you need to do in your own way. Serve loves co-creation, because really that's the only thing, I'm amazed from all the things I've experienced and been part of within, every level of the hidden hand. I'm amazed we're still here. And these clowns are like just hanging on by their fingernails, the hidden hand and the powers that shouldn't be and the sock puppets, they believe they're in control. They believe they deserve, I remember reading what Rockefeller said, that he was ordained by God to be the richest guy in the world. And all these rich guys, I'm surely believe that, because they would not, Bill Gates and the guy who owns Hathaway, the investment guy, just those two guys have more money, the two of them have more money than 3/4 of the rest of the Americans, right? And that doesn't mean just all the poor people, but it means all the poor people, all the middle class people, all the upper middle class people, and a lot of the well-to-do. Not the 1%ers, but the well-to-do. There's a millionaire here and a millionaire there. We got lots of them, right? It's not really hard to be a millionaire. Meaning, if you want to have no heart, if you want to be a soulless individual, hey, you could be a millionaire, no problem, right? If you want to have your life run by your prejudices, no problem, you can be a millionaire. Now, you've wasted your whole freaking life, because you can live like I've lived like a millionaire my whole freaking life. And, most of the time, I never had more than what I have today. And that's like, somewhere between $3 and $400. Pretty much that's been what I've had, my whole friggin' life. But it's always been enough. And, it was never not enough money to, eat, to be mobile, to help others, right? So that's what I'm trying to impart on you, my cadre, is that you too can live this way, and it's a fun way to live. It's as Plato said, a unself viewed life, if you're not thinking about who and what you are and what you're doing with your life, then you're not having a life worth living. When all you can think about is, how am I going to pay my bills? Oh, I want to be famous. Oh, I want to be rich. Oh, I want to be, no, sorry. Those things come along when you are, serving love's co-creation. I've been all those things, over the years, right? But I wasn't stuck to them, So to be a singular famous guy, you got to. That's all you got to do. That's just be that singular. But that's a pretty empty life. You go read the tabloids, and these people are miserable. All the movie stars, all those people, they're miserable, freaking miserable. I spent the whole freaking from beginning of May to middle of November, early November. I was out there in the deep green, and it was beautiful. It was angelic, and I helped to, more than 1,000 people strolled through the deep green from the woods, and most of them were homeless people. And I shared whatever I had with them, and they shared whatever they had with me. They stayed with me. I invited you guys, but none of you showed. One of you showed, and um, could not last more than 6 hours there. He was so, he drove all the way from the coast 9 hours to be with me and spent 6 hours and left. It was unbelievable, right? He never really said why, right? And he, I'm an artist. I'm trying to, do what you're doing. The alternative said, blah 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 blah. We didn't talk about any of that. No, 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 no. Just the miserable people. That's all he could talk about was the miserable people. Now that's to me not too interesting. I don't want to focus on that one, but anyway. So that's what I'm talking about, right? You need to light up your life, right? You need to have fun, and not fun like drugs, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's really, and I've been very blessed my whole friggin' life. First time I ever really smoked marijuana, I OD'd. I mean, who ODs? I mean, it wasn't angel dust. It was, some pretty good chiba, and I just kind of I went out of my body, right? And I was on top of the roof of the room looking down at these guys, and they were, oh, it's dead, oh, and they were like, they had no idea how to revive me, so they just did what they saw on television, on, you know, um, and they broke my freaking ribs. They called the ambulance, and those guys came and kind of moved them away, and you know, took my vitals. So well, he's not dead. He's just a little comatose, and we'll take him to the hospital. They took me to the hospital, and I woke up in the ambulance. I mean, I was up on the ceiling looking at myself on the floor, and they put me in a gurney and rolled me out to the ambulance, and I kind of floated out there. And I was like kind of surfing on top of the ambulance, and then bingo, I was in the ambulance, and bingo, I kind of woke up. And I said, "Oh my God!" And they, "What, do you have a heart attack?" I said, "No, my ribs." Oh. And so they kind of, palpated him a little bit. And I said, they go, "You got some broken ribs." And I said, "Those morons were banging on my chest." So the only real bad thing that happened to me is I broke 2 ribs. And I did, certain bile came up and kind of did a thing on my throat, which kind of was a kind of reanimation of what happened to me the day I was born, when I was, strangled by my umbilical cord. Let's see, Windsor. Yeah, that girl is now last and given. Okay, I'll go check that out. So she has a new channel, and it's called Sasha. Yeah, right? Is that it? I'll go check that out, because I really liked Emily Windsor Craig. I mean, she was, like me, a little what do you call it, eccentric, right? But she had a breadth of knowledge that was pretty amazing. And the other interesting thing about her, you know, it was one of those things, don't believe me, but everything she's saying was true. So I was quite impressed by her, and I really would pick up her positive energy, even though she would held, I guess I should have been Princess of England, and then I ended up in poverty in California and Canada, I might be a little besmirched, but she seemed to have had a pretty interesting life. Well, Jamie, thank you for checking on me, and I will check that out. Yep. Let's see. Oh, coffee. Yes. I forget it. Um, it's 1 hour and 37 seconds. Any questions? It's time for questions. So I'll keep going on about the 13 months window of opportunity. So between now and May, get your ducks in a row. Then, when spring comes, plant your seeds and move forward, ascend. Do not stay stuck. These next 13 months, if you can unstick yourself, you'll be fine for whatever comes, right? And the more unstuck you are, and the more you serve love's co creation, the more everything will work out fine, right? And it won't, have to be a new age, awakening, because we're already awake. We just have to stay awake, right? And if you go and help, I walk along every day and I see people who so I was at the doctor's, right? And I was in the waiting room, right? And they got me in there like at 7 in the morning because they can take care of me, and they can take whatever time they really need before a lot of people show up. So I do. I go there. I'm not a morning guy, but I made it there. And all the women at the desks, I went and read all their palms. I interacted with them to see how they were doing. Then I went and did it with the people in the waiting room who wanted, because they watched me do this, and the people at the desk were like, "Whoa, how do you know me so well?" And then I read the posts and talked about, a lot of them had children, and I talked about their children and how they're doing with them and what's their problems, and et cetera, et cetera. Then I was called in, and in the other side of the door where the nurses and the doctors are, and they did all their little tests on me, and everyone who came in, took my blood or took my blood pressure or did this, they did a sonogram of my, my arteries and stuff of that nature. And again, I read every single one of them to the point where these two women started to cry. The doctor, who was like, really serious kind of scientific guy, he kind of he spent, normally the nurse said, normally he only spends about 5 minutes with people. Because it was so early and there wasn't a big line of people, he spent 40 minutes with me. And it wasn't, he spent 15 minutes about me, but the rest of the time was about him and his family and his parents and issues he had. And I could just see them, and he couldn't believe. He said, "How do you do this?" I said, "Well, I'm a shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic alchemist, and I am energetically reading you." And he understood what I was talking about. He didn't believe in it, but he understood. And I said, "So you don't have to believe. All you have to have is faith in love's co-creation." Because you're talking about Jesus. I love Jesus. Yeah, you can call him Jesus, but it's a bigger issue than just that guy. And so that's what I did today. And then I went and saw some other people that I knew had issues, right? And and when I went to the medical guys, I was supposed to see them last week, but there was a person who, a friend of mine called me up and said, "So and so really needs you." So I drove 40 miles the other side of the county. Um, and I had no money for gas, but I said, "Well, it's like almost on E," but I said, "I'm not going to run out of gas. Not a problem." So I went all the way there, and this person was really upset. Instead of rushing and getting to the doctor, I spent the day with that person and settled them down and balanced them out so they wouldn't think about bad thoughts. right? And gave them the opportunity to see all the things happening in their life, gives them a place to move forward, not to be crushed. It's instead of, it's time to step up rather than to be stepped on, right? So when I went to the a doctor's appointment today, and I saw the lady who she goes, so she she basically said, "How did you get another appointment? You blew off us last week. Usually we make you come back, a year and a half later." I said, "Well, I just thought positive thoughts, and when I talked, the computer didn't show that to the lady who took my, talked to me the next day, and uh, he gave me the appointment, a really early one, which normally I can't make, but so I had to get up at about 5:30 and drive 60 miles to get there, and but I spent the whole day, these guys helped me, right? I got all my medicines for $10 rather than $6,800. Now, if these guys were a nonprofit, and they're really true nonprofit, Goodwill and United Way and those people, they're just criminals, right? And they're scamming people, right? But these people actually help folks at this medical HMO. And so they are a international entity. So they buy all of their drugs because they're international. They don't have to be swayed by the American Congress. And so they buy all of their drugs in an international thing. So they get their drugs the cheapest, because they buy a lot of them and for all over the world. And so if those guys can sell me everything I need for 90 days instead of $6,800 for a month, that's exactly what it costs, you know? And that's what Americans should be paying for, not getting ripped off. Thank you, Jamie. Starting a channel of my best story. I love you, buddy, That's the kind of stuff the other thing I thought would be fun if you guys could take your favorite my things. You guys ever see that show Science Fiction 3000, where this guy is in some space capsule someplace and he's got these robots that are just sock puppets, and they're showing the 1950s B sci-fi movie like the Blob and the Glob and the boy from Glob or Bob, and then they make fun of it. They write jokes about it, and I would love it if you guys had me, just get a screen and then put your make little finger puppets and comments. Now, so you can make fun of me. I don't mind being made fun of. I mean, look at me. If I can't be made fun of, I don't know. Then you're not trying to. I mean, I'm giving you the wherewithal to make fun of me. Me, I'm a funny guy. You can make fun of me. My service to love's co-creation. Well, that's a different. That's not so much serious, but it's real. It's the only thing that exists. All the rest of stuff's illusion, right? So, Jamie, go for it. All right, whatever you want to do, and any of you others watching this, the rest of you six, whatever you want to do, go for it. Be creative. That's what loves co-creation. Being creative, being the artist in the first person, being that savage. Huxley's Savage in Brave New World, right? And so I have, being the anthropologist I've been to many sites in ancient worlds, right? And I remember going to Ayers Rock in Australia, right? Big rock, size of Manhattan, and it's a rock, like it fell out of the sky. And it's not like a mountain where they can climb with, pylons and ropes and stuff, because you try and drive something into that rock, it break right off because it's rock, right? And it has its own gravitational field. There's a cliff like this that you can walk up the side, right? And they drilled holes in it and put, metal pipe in it and put chain on it so you got something to hold on to, but you don't need it, you know? I walked up it without doing that. I mean, I saw a woman in disco clothes and high heels walk up this, 2,800-foot cliff, right? Then you get up there and it's the size of Manhattan, right? And there are gravitational knolls that if you're walking around and they have fences around them, but if you go on it, the gravitation instead of holding you to the earth will shoot you up the sucker. And stupid people, their signs saying, "Hey, don't cross this fence and jump in here, otherwise you'll die." And no one did that uh, in the group that I went up there with. But the guy who was our guide told us, just last week, some moron jumped the fence and he was thrown, like 15 miles, across the desert up about 50,000 feet, and he was suffocated up there, froze to death, and then smashed to the ground. So there are more strange things in your universe, Prometheus, than the stars can tell you. That's kind of a bent copy of what Shakespeare said, and he got it from Platonius, the Greek. So, yes, anything you want to do with this, the more the merrier. Get it out there, spread it out, because I would be, like I said, even if Google and YouTube were to take this all down and, oh, it's never going to be see the light of day, it would be fine because shamanically, every show I do, I energize, and it just is permeating the whole digital universe, right? It's going into every little corner, right? So, but I would behoove all of you to go through my however many shows I got up there, and there's quite a few by now, more than 700, I'm sure. And I'd be great, It was so disappointing, So Dragon took the effort to put about 200 or 300 shows on thumb drives, and then mysteriously it disappeared from my room at the school, along with his paintings that he made. It was very disappointing. And, there's only two people at that school, me and the canary. So either I misplaced it and I took that room apart. I searched my car a number of times, all my bags that I had stuff in. But magically, they may appear again because when I was in Ireland, remember I told you the story about how when the old crone took me from Dublin to her farm, we were in her Jaguar XKE, and when we cruised out of town, we stopped at a couple of places. One at the Ring of Kerry to see a friend of hers, and then at this pub, just outside of her magical forest. It's the highest pub in Ireland. So if you want to know where the old crone kind of lives, go Google the highest. I think it's Killarney, or it's one of those counties that's up in the hills, right? And it's off a road off of the main road on the west coast near Skibbereen. So that's generally where she is, but she's way up there in the clouds. But when we, so I, would see the old crone not just at one time, about 4 or 5 times when I would come back until when I got married the first time, and I wanted to bring my first wife to see her because my first wife came from that Irish Celtic crone thing, and she was a triple cancer, super duper psychic, unbelievable, right? And I wanted her to see her where she came from, but for some reason that didn't happen, and that was the last time, you know. No, when I went back a couple more times years later, looking for that space, people, and Archie had died, and other people I knew who, were friends with the old crone weren't around, so I couldn't trail her down. Now I met her in my meditations. She's come to me on many different planes. But the bottom line with her was basically, um, the first time I was there, I was given an opportunity to change, take a total different path in my life, right? And stay with her and really, be her apprentice. But because I drank the 3 pots of tea and tried to bring the animals to the pub in her Comvy, her van, she I disobeyed her, So she saw, instead of really getting angry at me, she just was a little disappointed and said, okay, that's not a problem. So we still, were connected for a number of years and had adventures and did things, but I was not her apprentice. She saw in me the, one person out of however many that would have been worthy to be her adept, right? And so, but she had plenty of and so I became one of her kind of adepts. And so, um, the second time I was there, and I was hanging with Archie and he had a great place at Trinity. He had a great apartment at Trinity because he had a chair there. And so, he, when you come out of Trinity, you come down and it's the old part of Dublin, and O'Connell Street is down there, and the main river that goes through uh, Dublin kind of comes around and goes this way. And so you come down as this kind of circle, and you can go. In Europe, they have circles, right? And so there are 4 or 5 roads off that circle. One goes on this side of the river, and it goes over where um, the big famous beer brewery is and alcohol brewery, right? And kind of not what had been the industrial neck of the woods of Dublin, but was kind of old factory buildings and kind of abandoned. But over just a little this way of the rivers, like over here, and the industrial stuff's over here. Over here, it's like a neighborhood, and there's some really great old pubs there, and that's where a lot of the professors and students go to get blasted and to sing and dance and play games and talk, right? And Archie had one of these places, and in that neighborhood, so there were places where the worker class lived, and there were restaurants and stores to buy food, but there was an alleyway, and it was like straight out of Harry Potter. You know, if you weren't tuned, it would just look like a stone wall. But if, when I was with Archie or with the old crone, um, there it would be, and I would walk with them. And once you went through there, it could be like midnight, along the major road there in Dublin. But you go down that little alley, it was a beautiful day. And well, there was a tea room that I used to go to, and there was a woman there who was, I think, one of old crone's adept because she kind of shimmered in a way that you look at her one way, she looked 19. You looked at her another way, she looked about 32. You looked at her another way, she looked 102. And she always, basically, she looked at me as a goofball, and she used to, when the old crone, what are you doing, that guy? And then when I would go in there with Archie and not the old crone, she thought Archie was a goofball too. And so she would ask us things um, about the world on the outside. I said, "What did you go to the end?" He says, "I can't. I'm pretty much right here." And these are things that right there in Dublin. It's a city in Europe, and there were pretty frigging amazing things there that the average person who wasn't awake could never see. I'm kind of awake, so I kind of was allowed to go and see it, but I had to either be with the old crone or Archie. And when I was at my best, I could walk down that alley, but most times couldn't find it. Just like you know, 20 years after I first met the old crone, and I went back there pretty by myself in the 1980s, because I knew I wasn't going back to Europe, or do any big world time traveling anytime soon. That I would be back in America, and I would be called to serve in America, right? And so I tried to find, the old crone. Couldn't, you know. I tried to find Archie. He was dead. I tried to find my sweetie at Glendora. She was gone, you know. And so all of that old crone energy of people that were part of her circle couldn't find. But they're in my heart. And they come to me when I meditate, all of them, right? Because I go to Shambhala, That's one of the places I go to. And I've taken you guys on guided meditations and showed you how to, you know, center yourself, get your breathing, energize yourself with your prana and take, illuminate your imaginary mirror right behind your eyes and go, to your subconscious with the library of your Akashic record. And in your library, you have your librarian, your animal totem, and your guardian angel. And, on the right are the 9 doors, right? The 9 sacred doors. And if you go study the occult, you will constantly stumble across the 9 doors, right? And one of those doors is always open because it's the doorway to your superconscious mind, and the sanctuary of your own choosing. And so you go over the bridge of your id. You go from your subconscious, you go through that doorway, go over the bridge of your id into your, sanctuary. There we are. We're right now on top of the bridge, and you're looking down into your sanctuary. I want you all to see your sanctuary. You should be able to go into state like that. All you need to do is take that 20% more in, and 30% out, and you should be able to go straight into state. If you're practicing your meditation, it shouldn't take you that much practice to get to that point where you can do that, right? So, Slancha, that's right, baby. And Slancha is like, and the other great one, so first time I spent a real long time in Ireland, there's a term called crack, which means it's a Gaelic word for good times, right? So I came back in the early 80s from Ireland, and I went to see my buddies, my artist friends, and we're at our friendly bar called Puffy's. Go Google Puffy's Bar in Tribeca. And that was, Frank started that. And I would say a bar, what used to be a workers' bar, because the phone company's right across the street. And that was where those guys would have lunch. And it was a beautiful bar. It was almost a whole street long, and a window faced the street was not a tight little street. It was almost there was Hudson here, which is a big, wide, avenue. And the street that was on was just one block up from Duane Street and Duane Park. And I lived in a refrigerator in Duane Park, big refrigerator, hotel, bar, and butter refrigerator, 3,200 square feet of refrigerator, and was made in the early part of the 20th century. So they didn't have any foams or insulation, so they used cork. And so this 3,200 square foot refrigerator had 4-foot thick cork walls, right? And, ceiling, walls, floor, cork all the way around, right? And I made a Faraday cage inside of it, and I turned that 3,200 feet into an orgone accumulator, a whole thing, right? And man, and my bed was elevated on a pedestal, and I built a pyramid of copper pipe around my bed, right? And my working laboratory, I shielded it with another Faraday cage and put inside it another copper pyramid. And that's where I wrote things, and I had my electrical bench where I built apparati, and I would go into shamanic state, and you know, see, like Tesla, see these apparatus and then build them there, and that's how I became a bench electrician. So Puffy's was just around the corner, right? And it was a bar of artists and mercenaries, wet work guys, guys who were Marines and SEALs, and they wanted to make money, so they got out of the military and did it for people like Blackwater. And and Frank always wanted to be, 007, but he was a nice Jewish boy. He inherited some money. He started a bar. So I had these two groups of friends, of mercenaries and artists, right? And most of them became pretty world famous, both of them. And I used to take people into my orgone accumulator refrigerator and work on them. I had another, copper pyramid that I had my healing bed on, that I would, adjust people and get their auras and chakras and energies right, and do bring them into their Akashic record and have them see who and what they were and why they're doing the stuff they're doing. And that's what I'm talking about, that we have 13 months of a window of opportunity. You need to start doing this and seeing what's really going on in your freaking life, right? So anyway, I came back from Ireland in the early 80s, 81. And there's this term, crack, a cracking good time, right? And I, whenever I go someplace and I stay a long time there, I kind of accumulate their speak. And I have a pretty good ear for languages. I'm someplace like I learned, French, and I learned Latin, and I learned Portuguese, and I learned a number of indigenous languages. And as long as I use them, they're in there. When I stop using them, it's not like there anymore. I mean, it's there. I could bring them back, but not at the moment. I couldn't speak French right now. I couldn't speak Portuguese right now. But anyway, so I came back, and I'm like speaking half Gaelic, half English, and I'm saying, hey, let's go get some crack. And this is just when crack showed up in New York, the drug. And my friends were like looking at me, what are you talking about? Right? And I said, oh, crack, it's a good time. And they go, what are you, nuts? It's not Anyway, so it was almost like Abbott and Costello, who's on first, what's on second, for about half an hour, until I stopped and explained exactly what I was talking about. And they said, oh. And that's when we realized the guys who brought that drug to America probably were taking a vacation in Ireland and said, hey, what are we going to call this new product? Let's call it crack. Anyway, don't believe anything I say. Go into your Akashic record and see. It's like when you go into your Akashic record, it is so much better than Google, right? So anyway, so Jamie, if you do this, when you start doing this, what I love you to do, when you set that channel up and you start putting things up there, send me the link. And all of you guys, send me links at my dudeawake42@gmail. And leave the link on it. That way I can go. Because every time I try to type in anything, I can forget about it. But you leave a link on my Gmail account, I just can click it and bingo, I'm there. So I have certain limitations, and in the digital computer world, that's Anyway, I am getting hungry. The house is getting cold. I have to start a fire. So here it is. It's 7:02. It's 1:29. So why don't you talk amongst yourselves, and I'm going to go get something to eat and just try to get the house warmed up a little bit. So, okay, I'll be right back. Okay. Talk amongst yourselves. Yoo-hoo! Okay, I'm back. So last night, when we were doing that lovely chat, oh, you guys stuck around. How nice. Um, we had a wind because we're right on the tops of the mountains of the Appalachian between West Virginia and Virginia here, kind of up behind Blacksburg by about 40 miles. Um, and I'm babysitting a friend of mine's farm, and they came back the other day. And so they were tuckered out from their journey, and so they went to sleep, and I was talking away. And just as I ended the chat, the wind blew down a power line someplace, and we were thrust into darkness. Now, their heat here is cold because in West Virginia, you know, Mr. Peabody's coal mines have basically ripped West Virginia, which is beautiful. If you ever come to West Virginia, there's certain places that are untouched, by the coal industry, and it's really amazingly gorgeous. They have these gorges and rivers, and one of the tallest suspended bridges in the world is in West Virginia, right? And guys jump off it with their parachutes, and I'm not too far from there. And but it's kind of in this wind tunnel. Mountain range on either side. So there's these two mountains. It's the Appalachian, and then there's another mountain range of the Blue Range. Like maybe 120 miles from here. So it's places like you're either in the crosshairs of this crazy storm, or the weather bounces away. So most of the time it's nice and not too bad. But when it's bad, so there was a big snowstorm that came across America and kind of went above us by, like 20 miles from where we were. They had like 3 feet of snow, right? And obliterated upstate New York. But we were on the edge where the wind was. Wow. And I felt like, Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz, because the house was actually kind of shaking. Now, it's an old house that wasn't built in one piece. It's like little chunks. It's like made out of Legos. Anyway, so once the power went off, and so we have coal here because they ripped the place apart and they leave these big piles of coal everywhere that they'll burn, but they're not worth selling. The trouble of transporting them, right? They're not. I forgot the name of the really hot coal, bituminal or something like that. And the other thing, they have a lot of gas here and oil. The oil's already kind of been pumped up, but there's still a lot of gas. So there are a lot of gas wells that aren't big enough to commercially transport. So these gigantic piles of crap coal and little things of gas that the people can use, right? And and they don't really cost any money. I mean, some of them gas wells they charge, but a lot of them they don't. So these people, there's a big mountain of crack coal right on the edge of their property. The coal company just dropped it there. And it's very toxic. When it rains like it's rained, did it rain? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It rained like, we probably got all that snow that they got up there, we got rain. And then the storm kind of blew by. And last night the wind was, I've never really experienced one like that because it was really shaking the house and screaming. I mean, woo! And then we lost electricity. So the coal boiler went out. And so I had to go to the doctor's early, so I had to leave here around 7. And they were tuckered out from their journey. So anyway, long story short, I came back. You could smell that they started up the coal thing because it's a really intense process to get it going. And once it gets going, they have this little feeding device. And anyway, so to get it to, once it's going, it's not a problem to get the boiler to come on and start heating the place. So anyway, that's what I just did. I had to go downstairs and make sure all the switches were on and the feeder was still feeding and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, that's where so now it's starting to heat up the place, which it's getting a little cold. The wind, not crazy like it was yesterday, but it's still on the edge. So that's this place. And these people are very nice and old. I've known them for years, and I've kind of been taking care of them for years. And so I'm like their son that they never had. Well, they have 2 sons, but so I'm always, I don't have the baggage of being their sons. I just treat them really nice and take care of them and fix things for them. That's kind of, so the week I was here, I kind of fixed, this place is so old, so I kind of made so the lights could work and made things safe. And so that's kind of what I did while I was here. So got here last Wednesday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I didn't go anywhere. I was right here, right? Except Wednesday, Thursday, I was at a church nearby here cooking lots of turkeys. So that's kind of one thing I did do. But I didn't really have Thanksgiving dinner with them because they took the food further away. We just cooked it at that church. And so I did my thing. And that church I really like. I've known those people a long time too. And it's really fun to cook with them. There are about 8 people that we cook 20 turkeys and 50 pounds of potatoes and lots of food. And it was just fun. People playing music and dancing and just having a grand old time. So, and that's what life's about, doing stuff like that. Well, anyway, I'm not worried about getting paid. Why am I doing that? Why should I help other people? because that's what life's about, helping other people. Anyway, so how you guys doing? There's still 6 of you there. Any questions? Mm-mm-mm-mm. Where did I put my coffee? It's still kind of still kind of warm. That's good. I'm gonna hold on to it. So what other relevant tales can I tell you? Well, Christmas. What's Christmas about? It's about celebrating joy. Jesus wasn't born. He was a Aries. He was born in the spring. The Bible, the New Testament, all these stories about Jesus. He was the literary one. He was a scholar. You know what? He had tales, and they have them, right? They do not publish what Jesus had to say because it's antecedent to every religion known to man. Because he straight up says all religions are just scam, business, ploy, blah, blah, blah. So if you go to read my most recent little novel, um, 2 of the main characters in it is Jesus and Judas. And in this story, see, Judas was Jesus's best buddy from childhood. Judas knew Jesus. When he was a little kid, he would see Jesus pick up a dead animal and bring it back to life. Right? Everyone can do this. You just have to be connected to the chi. When the heck are you going to get Skype? Okay. I'll try and figure that out. I mean, hey, I got PayPal. It only took me a year. I keep trying to do it, and I can't get it to do it. I kind of hook up. I mean, I got it on the thing. Every time I try and use it, it takes me into somebody's thing where they want me to buy something. I can't just get on it and do it. I don't know why. I'll try it again. I'm not in a place. My guru of the internet is 200 miles away from me, and so research. Why don't you invite me to your place and I'll come down there and we can set up everything I need in the world of the internet or anybody else. I think our friend who lives in Music Town, Tennessee, he seems to be erudite in the internet and the computer universe. It's like what can I say? Research. I try. I really do. Like I said, I got it on my dashboard, but every time I go there, it wants me to buy something and won't let me do anything other than buy something, right? So, like I said, it only took me a year to get a PayPal account. No one seems to be putting much in it. So anyway, let's see. Do you still have that laptop? Yep, that's what I'm. The only thing I can go on. I can't do the shows off my phone, but it makes me do it off this laptop. So yes, I got the laptop. So I'll find someone adroit in the internet world to help me figure that out. Okay. Well, I'll give the good college try research, honest, right? And so, and research, you can take my shows and edit them any way you want and put them on your channel. I'd be happy. That'd be great. You don't have to per se interview me. You can. I mean, I'm kind of interested to see what the trolls. This one posted, I'm taking all your shows and I'm going to edit them so you look terrible, so you sound terrible, so you are the people will see how evil you are. Really? I don't think so. I don't think you can do anything to make me look other than the cute little bunny that I am. I mean, how could this look evil? You know. Yes. How can that? I mean, what kind of life can you have if you spend your life doing a channel where all you can do is go on about how you hate me? I mean, boy, that guy's got a lot of time on his hands. Somebody must be paying his bills. You like this? Yep. Dollar Tree. It's $1. You can't beat it. I love the Dollar Tree. Yeah, the whole world should be based on the Dollar Tree. Everyone should be able to get whatever. I mean, I can go in there with $20 and get everything I need for 6 months. Toilet paper, cleaning solutions, you name it. Hats like this. So go to the Dollar Tree. There must be a Dollar Tree near you. They're all over the place. And I love the Dollar Tree because everything is a dollar. Dollar General, all of those stores, things are $15, $20. This, no. So you want one. So, yes. So go to the Dollar Tree. And if they're all sold out by now, research, this is yours, that big red Santa Claus hat that I have? I was wearing it today, and actually, a guy walked up to me and goes, do you have a red suit? I said, well, I got a red shirt. I got some red socks. And he goes, what are you doing Saturday? I said, why? He said, well, I want you to be my Santa Claus in my store. I said, okay, I'll pay you. I said, good, that'd be great. I'd love that. So this Saturday, the day after tomorrow, I'm going to be Santa Claus. And he's open on Saturday and Sunday. He said, if the people like you, I'll pay you money for the next 2 weekends, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I said, okay, sounds like a plan. I said, you got any else for me? He goes, yeah, I got some cute girls who work for me. I'll get them in green suits. I said, hey, sounds like a plan. So that's, and I was just because I was wearing that red hat, and reading people's, hands in this restaurant, it just kind of, I read the waitresses and then all the other waitresses came over. Then the owner came over and then he started bringing his favorite clientele. It was lunchtime and it was a packed place. And the owner, he let his whole staff come and get their palms read. And it was fun, fun by all, and that's what life should be. Right. And no one got upset. No one, the flow kind of slowed down, but everyone was listening to what I was saying about other people. And then I said, so, hey, put your palm up, and I didn't get up. They didn't get up. They were at the other side of the restaurant. Just put your palm up. And, everyone left happy. And the owner patted me on the back and said, don't worry about lunch, That's what we need to do. If everyone did stuff, everyone has a talent. Everyone has a gift. And those talents and gifts are usually what make us happy, right? Gives us satisfaction. Why did I spend 50 years being an electrician? Not because it was my job. It's because I liked doing it. Every morning I would wake up happy that I was going to go up and fix something, make something work, make something beautiful. And it brought me into dozens of other things to do. So I just didn't be an electrician, I was a photographer. I was a journalist. I was an artist. I was an actor, I was an activist. I was, a healer, And all of it basically came from electricity because everything I do stems from my ability to electrochemically, connect to the world around me, You can see my auras blinking as we speak right now. This is the electrochemical, orgone accumulator of my brain. And you can get one too for only $1 at the Dollar Tree. They really are kind of cool. Not only that, look at this. Let's see which button. Can I even see the button? I know the button's there. I'm wrestling with my aura. Oh. Hey, Aura, say hi to the gang. Hi, gang. How you doing? It's nice to see you. I'm Al's Aura. My first child, I'm going to name Aura. I had a girlfriend in North Carolina. Norma was her name. And she ran a motorcycle gang, right? And she was one of the largest wholesalers of, substances. And so I kind of stumbled into their clubhouse, and I was a skinny little runt of a guy, and I was a newspaper photographer, and I was wearing black pants, white shirt, black tie, and I was lost. I was just looking how to get there, and I stumble in there, and I bump into this, dirty, stinking, motorcycle killer, and I make him scratch his pool shot, and he's about to stick that stick up my nose and out my orifice, and my potato hole, and Norma flew over the bar and stepped on his head and told him, "He's mine." And then she kind of escorted me to her office and said, "You're kind of cute. Where are you from? Don't you know where the heck you are? You nearly got yourself killed. What are you doing here?" And I told her that I was a newspaper reporter and I was looking for Fayetteville and Diamond T. Washington's nightclub. She goes, "Oh, I know that place. I know that guy really well. If you can wait here, a half hour, here, let me take you over to the kitchen. You make yourself a sandwich. And I'll go with you. I got to go to Fayetteville." So I say, sure, because she was an amazing looking woman. And so I was, 19, 18, 17, somewhere around there. I was in my late teens. And she was, in her late 40s, but she was like, wow. They call them, she was a MILF without the M. And so, the ILF is, she was like looking at me, right? So we're ready to go. She puts me on the back of her Harley Davidson, and she is wearing an outfit, leopard this, and every part of her body was exposed and doing the right jiggle. And it was like being in, Easy Rider, I felt like Jack Nicholson, I just want to be a bird, And so, we get there. Anyway, long story short, I become her pool boy, and, pool on with billiards. And that's really where I learned how to play pool really well, right? And since she ran the gang, I was protected by these 300 killers, and they owned all of the police departments in that part of North Carolina. So I was a newspaper, so I interacted with a lot of those police guys. So they were like, "You're hanging out with Norma? What are you nuts? She'll kill you." I said, "No, she likes me a lot." She goes, "She said, you better keep her on that side." But anyway, long story short, so I spent 9 months, maybe 8, doing that job and living there in High Point, North Carolina, and Durham. And anyway, the triangle, So her friends, where I'm going with the story is names. Hey Jane, name 6. Norma 6, maybe. So anyway, Norma takes me to this hospital, right? And she goes, a good friend of mine's having a baby, right? So went there, and that family was the big meth family in that part of the state, and so I don't know if they were doing it, but they've been around it so much they were like a little, and so we get there and the babies have been born, and we walk in and they're swaddling them up, and the nurse, it's a Catholic hospital, and the nurse, and there's a nun there, and they go, well, what are you going to name your children? And it was a boy and a girl, twins, right? Boy and a girl. And the husband looks at them and he goes, we're going to name, because it was the year 1969. I guess I was 1969. He said, we're going to name and they were like walking on the moon, right? And so he said, we're going to name the boy Moon Sprocket. And the nun goes, you can't name what, and the nun is like scratching her head, and the nurse is like going, no, Moon Sprocket. How about the girl? And the mother goes, we're going to name the girl Shitbird, right? And it was like, what? And Norma starts laughing and thinking it's a great thing, right? And the nun and the nurse are like, they just cannot fathom this, right? Shitebird, right? And I'm thinking, oh, these poor kids when they go to kindergarten, Mary Lou Stevenson, Jimmy, Green, Moon Sprocket, Shitebird. It's like, okay, this is going to be interesting. Anyway, why did they name the girl Shitebird? Because when the lady's water broke and they went to the hospital, she was going from the car into the hospital and a bird shied on her, right? So that's why it was Shitebird. So that's the kind of folks I was hanging out with Norma. And Norma was like, she was brilliant and beautiful and loads of fun. And she loved me. And she loved me in a way, she didn't want to own me. She just really embraced this concept I had of living in the friggin' moment. And it balanced her life out. So, everything just was smooth. She goes, you're my lucky charm, you're magically delicious, right? And so all the cops knew I was, no one, no criminal, no police officer, no one would mess with me because everyone was scared of Norma. So, and when I left, I said, Norma, and I took her to New York. She wanted to meet some, she had some New York contacts. She had never been to New York. So she got a private, sleeping car on Amtrak, and we went down to Greensboro, and she rode her frigging motorcycle up the steps of the train down the thing into a car where they could park her motorcycle, and we spent basically the next 15 hours in the private room. We only went out once to the dining car and had dinner and got drunk, and she was like Tony Two Toes. I mean, she would smoke spliffs 24/7 every place she was, and no one would say, "Oh, you can't smoke that stuff here." So it was loads of fun being, Norma's pool boy, and she was very brilliant. She was very well read, but amongst her gangster clientele and boys, she was just ruthless. Man, I saw her. It was like straight out of, where Robert De Niro plays Al Capone. I saw her really beat. I don't know if she killed the guy, but she took him out with a baseball bat in the most serious of ways. And I did not say anything. And she was really pissed off about something. And, I was just hanging at her place, and this guy came in, and she, took him in this room and started screaming at him. And then I heard it, and she used an aluminum bat. No breaking of the bat. I just heard it go bong, bong. And then she said, I need some help with this guy. And I went in there, and he was messed up, and, took his pulse. I go, well, he's still alive. Let's get him to the emergency room. He goes, well, you take him. Here's the keys to my car. She had a Gran Torino pickup truck. We threw him in the back, drove him there. I knew the guys in, the hospital. And I said, hey, guys, bring the gurney here. There's a person that's, and the cops were there. And I look at him and basically said, Norma? I said, I think so. And I said, he's not going to die. He's just messed up, So I took him in. They never came looking for her. Never, Only time I ever saw her really get mad and do something. But she had it in her to be. That's why people were scared of her, right? And this guy had a gun, I didn't see it go down at all. I was in the, other side of her place. But I started hearing that aluminum bat, bonging like a bell. Hey there, buddy. You like the hat? Buddy, these are my chakra orbs, right? I'm sending you photonic love, buddy. How you doing, buddy? You doing good? It's good to see you last night. I'm glad you showed up right now. The whole gang is here. We got 7 people. Yeah. Last night we had, at the height of it, we had 19 people on the chat. And we had about 12 thumbs up and 0 thumbs down. And then the morning when I went and checked it out, we had only 3 thumbs up and 18 thumbs down. I don't know how that happens, but it's been happening a bit. And all I can say, a friend of mine I told about the trolls and all of this, and he basically said that it's a good, it shows that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm actually, he said, this is, if you had, 20,000, subscribers, blah, 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 you would just be like everyone else, But, so I'm happy with how it's all going down. That's right, Jane. That's a mouthful, Jane. Ascended Chakra Master Al's auroral. Hey, how you doing, buddy? I love your little hearts there. So the thing is, never judge anyone. Never fear anyone. You have to respect people. And I mean, one of the things about Norma was that I utterly respected her, right? And communicated clearly. See, that's something. I was in a Tractor Supply store, right? Do I have them? And they have these Tractor Supply bags. Since the day Tractor Supply opened 20 or however many years ago when I started buying there, they have these bags that are really strong. You put tools and anything in them and they don't break, right? And they usually, back when I started buying, they were 60 cents. Now they're $1.49. Anyway, so I walked in and said, where are your bags? What bags? I said, and I described them exactly. They're this wide, they're this long, they're this deep. They got big things. They're made out of like recycled materials. They're green, red, and it says Tractor Supply. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And so I had them, asked the girl, she asked this guy, didn't know what, got the manager, right? And so we're walking through the store and, there they are. I said, what do you call those things? They are bags. And they said, oh, yeah, they're the shopping bags. I said, and look what they, I said, they're no more than $1.50. It was $1.49. And, these people did not listen to anything I said. And then I explained to them, I said, look at your store, right? There's no one in here. There's 8 of you guys working here. There's no one, this place is going to close down. Why? Because you cannot listen to your clientele. They rather go another 40 miles to another Tractor Supply than you freaking morons. You're all going to lose your job unless you start listening. And the manager, I'm the manager. I know it. I said, good luck with that, buddy. You know, so that is one of the biggest problems is that no one listens, right? They don't even listen to themselves. I try to listen to what's coming out of my mouth. So, we have two ears and one mouth. We should use this less and use these more, right? And I have all these courses, how to listen, how to think, how to the blah, 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 blah. And I used to teach these courses, right? And to corporate dudes and dudettes, right? And I learned these disciplines, and when I was part of Theosophical Society, they're arcane, classes, and I had a mystery school up at the Hills School that George and Inga Solanovich built, right? And that for 2 years, right? And my masters, who I went to their school, and I went with other people who then became what they call themselves a master. I'm never, I'm not a master. I am your, sensei, right? I'm a shaman, right? But I'm nobody's master, right? And so these guys are, my friends, and they would call me up, hey, listen, I got some students I want to send your way. And they were like trying to say, this is a good thing for you. You'll make some money, blah, blah, blah. But they know that I don't really charge anything. I mean, if you want to give me a gift, not a problem. I'll take it. But all of my teachers always say, you can't charge for this. You can take offerings, but you can't. So when I had a practice in New York, and people would come, I had client, and I was down by Wall Street. I was on Pearl Street, just, Wall Street was just, half a block, the, stock exchange was 2 blocks from straight up. I could see it out of one of my windows. And, I started my practice because, ground floor was off-track betting. Second floor, the guy sold marijuana. Third floor, the guy sold cocaine. Fourth floor, the guy sold heroin. And on the fifth floor, which was 2 floors, was my little bell tower, which I had a friend of mine. It was like covered in oil. It was Edison's first power plant. And they had a big steam engine in the bottom, and they had this gigantic belt going up to the bell tower, and then they had takeoffs going to other generators that ran different neighborhoods and stuff like that. So it was covered in grease, and that's why nobody wanted those 2 floors. And but it was amazing because it was like being in a cathedral, these big steep ceilings, and they were mahogany but covered in grease and oil. For 100 years of greasing and oiling these big wheels, and they had platforms, right? All not just one floor, but platform here and here and here, and they were pretty big. And so I had a friend of mine come in. We kind of scraped off the icky stuff, but I had him spray the whole thing. He was a paint sprayer guy, and he sprayed every square inch of the place, bottom, top, sides, everything, with polyurethane, super duper acrylic, very hard. Almost the stuff that you make surfboards out of, that kind of resin. And he put 4 or 5 clear coats. So, and when we took off the icky grease, it made these amazing swirly patterns. And then he covered them up and sealed them in the super duper clear acrylic. So it was pretty amazing, very shiny, very hard, and the stuff underneath was amazing. So that was my little apartment. And it was like 3,000 square foot of all these different platforms, and it was like an MC Escher drawing because there was staircases going here and going down there and going over there and coming up here. And so I'm on the top floor, 4th and 5th. That's my bell tower. So I am walking up the stairwell, and I see this guy in a Brooks Brothers $3,000 suit, and I put my fingers on his carotid, and he's almost dead. He's OD'd. He's on the floor of heroin. So I pick him up. He's a small guy. I threw him over my shoulder. I took him up and put him on my massage table, and I cleared a number of his chakras. And then I had one of those, because I was working in hospitals, so I had those stainless steel kind of jacuzzis that they put the football players in, and they have these 6-horse electric motors. So it's like an Everune, and it really is like just bubbles and swirls and massage you like it. So one's like filled with ice, and the other's like really hot, and you pick them up, stick them in the ice, pick them up, throw them in the hot, put them on the table, do some more, balancing of his chakras. Then you swaddle him. They're totally naked. You dry them off, and I had these really beautiful wool, a very almost camel's hair wool um, um, blankets. I would swaddle people up. They'd be like, really tight. They couldn't move. And I'd put them on a bed of crystals, energized crystals, and I'd let them stay there and, like cookies, stay there an hour. And then I'd pick them up and put them on the massage table and do some cranial sacral and more balancing. And then I had a room that was an orgone accumulator that had another nice crystal bed, and I'd put them in there. Anyway, the first guy I did that to, um, so he woke up out of that bed and he came over to me, and he was naked, right? And I had his clothes, one of those kind of like chairs that you can put a suit on, and the gravity takes whatever wrinkles out of it. So I had this nice Brooks Brothers suit getting, kind of straightened out, and he walks in, and he's got like one of those blankets wrapped around him like a toga. He looks at me and he goes, "Am I dead? Is this heaven?" I said, "Not really. Well, why don't you come up here?" And I put him in one of my nice energetic chairs and gave him, like a muscle test him. And then I went and got the right teas and made him a pot of tea. And we drank the tea and we talked about his issues. I said, "So why are you doing heroin? You got a lot of money, you got a career, you got a family." I just did a cold reading on him. And I said, whatever happened with you and your family, your parents, that's in the past. Forget about it. Have a real life. You got real opportunity here, buddy. Don't screw it up. And then he started to cry, and I said, "Oh, it's time for you to get back on my table." And I kind of, because when someone breaks through emotionally like that and starts crying, that's when you can rebalance them, especially with cranial sacral. So I did that to him. And I swaddled him again and put him back in my orgone accumulator on the crystal bed. And he came out, and he was wearing his suit. And he goes, "Wow, I've never felt this good in my life that I can remember." I said, "Well, good. Remember what it's like. And from this point on, he said, can I come back here?" I said, "Sure, you can. Just don't stop at the floor below, right? I'm not carrying you up the stairs anymore." And so he goes, "So what do I owe you?" I said, "See, go down those steps, and there's that doorway out into the hallway, right? Right next to the door, there's a little table with, some flowers floating in water. And next to it is a little basket. Put whatever you want in that basket. Whatever you think this was worth, you can. I don't charge, right? But you can give me an offering. So just make an offering down there." So I go back, over to my writing table, and I look out the window, and I'm looking out. My view from that window was out into the, where the East River and the Hudson come together, and the Statue of Liberty's over there, and Ellis Island's over there. And so I sit there and I start to just think about what I'm going to write, and he leaves. Right? And the next morning I go down, and what do I find but 5 Benjamins in that little thing. I said, "Oh, look at that, $500. Put that in my pocket." Right? And actually I didn't. I opened up the little drawer and stuck the money in the box. Right? And then I went down, had breakfast. I guess I stuck 1 Benjamin in my pocket. Went down, had breakfast, and um, it was a great restaurant because it's where all the bookies were. There were about 20 payphones there, right? And for the charmed customers like I was, the owner had a counter where there were phones that you didn't have to put a dime in, right? You could just pick it up. And anyway, I called up my, Mike, and said, "Hey, Mike, do I need to do anything today?" He goes, "No, we got nothing for you to do, But Grandpa still wants to see you later this afternoon. So you got the morning until 2 o'clock to screw around with whatever you want to do. I said, okay. Bing. And I have breakfast and I read New York Times and Wall Street Journal, and I walk back with them under my arm, and I go up the stairs, and there's a guy sitting on the stairs in Brooks Brothers suit, and he goes, "My friend Bob, you saved his life yesterday." Um, and he told me that you're an amazing healer. And I said, "Yeah, yeah." He says, "Well, I need some healing." I said, "Okay, no problem. Come on in." So I did the same. He wasn't next to death, so I didn't have to go that far. But we first had tea and we talked and asked what his problems were. Then I muscle tested him, and then I took the supplements that I had that I thought would be good for him, and I use them. Instead of having him taking them or selling. These things cost $40 up. No, I basically shamanically energized him with the harmonic of those herbs, right? And then I put him in the cold jacuzzi and the hot jacuzzi, and I swallowed him, and put him in my orgone accumulator on the table of crystals, and then got him back out, and put him back on the table, and gave him a good shiatsu massage, and then I made him a really nice sandwich because I could tell that he had a little hypoglycemia. So I made him a sandwich, and I said, "What you need?" So the sandwich is cucumbers, sprouts, and cheese, right, with horseradish and really great bread. I said, "This is what you need to eat. The diet, whatever you're eating now, is not good for you. But you need to eat stuff like this." And he ate it. "I've never had a sandwich like this. These cucumbers, they don't have the hard skin." Yeah, I cut them off. Make food that you will really love to eat. So after about 2 weeks, I had 8 clients, all friend of the guy who almost died. All really, really rich, um, you know, guys working on the stock market. And I never charged them a nickel. I just said, make an offering down there. And not, sometimes these guys gave me, $1,000, you know, but I never got less than $400. I never got less than 4 Benjamins. Everybody paid me in Benjamins. And so I had an amazing clientele. Within a month of me finding the guy dead on the steps, I had, 8 people. I would work on maybe 4 a week, you know, you know, 4 times 4 at the very least. Um, I was making, Benjamins, it was, "Hey, Fugnuts, good to see you, buddy." And, um, and that's because I love what I did, and I, wasn't, I didn't advertise. I didn't, and this was before massage was like state, sponsored, but none of the stuff I did could be, you know, when I was running my mystery school, people just wanted to give me $300 that I would give them a piece of paper that showed that they were shaman. I said, no, no, we have to do ceremony, we have to do exercises, you need to learn how to meditate, you need how to do this, you need how to, and in those 2 summers, maybe I had 60 people go through the school. Only 2 actually embraced that, only 2, So whenever I do a sweat, I make the people I'm going to sweat with help me build the sweat lodge. We're in the forest. We go we go cut, um, saplings that, make the frame out of, right? Then we, put, a blanket or a quilt over it. And then we, put leaves on top of that, and then another quilt, and then more leaves, and then, a tarp, you know. And that's how I was taught by Grandfather David, one of the elders of the Hopi, on how to, that's one of the ways. And Grandfather David of the Iroquois also, he was a leaf guy. In New Mexico, we use sage instead of leaves. So, but in up there at the school, there was no sage, so we use leaf. Out of those 120 people, only two would do the sort of value. All those other people just wanted to give me money, be transactional, and I would give them a, certified. And that's what matriculation is. You don't learn anything. You know what education? If you um, um, go back to the Greek, is to learn through experience, not learn through, a book or a textbook or take a class and have a test. No, it's to learn through experience, right? To gain knowledge through experience. That's the word education, right? So I did my, um, and that place is an amazing place to have a mystery school because it's energized like you can't believe. It's one of the Cherokee's most sacred places up there where the George and Inga built their art school, and because it's so energized, it you know distracted the people up there, and all they wanted to do was party, have sex, and George loved that, so that's why their school didn't really go too far, and that's why my school didn't go too far. No one was willing to really, embrace the discipline of experiencing shamanic ceremony, and like you guys. How many of you guys are actually meditating? Breathing that 20% in and 30% out, right? I don't know. So why don't we do that now, right? Right. So everyone get in a comfortable position, get in a chair or lie down somewhere, so you don't fall down, and close your eyes and start breathing deep. 20% in and 30% out. And that 20% in and 30% out, you have to use your conscious mind. This thing up here, the Rolodex where the squirrel lives, and by doing that, you're going to shut up your squirrely mind, right? And as you breathe in that 20% and breathe out that 30%, what you're doing is you are energizing. You're breathing in the prana, going into your lungs, and by breathing that deep, it lifts your diaphragm, opens up your lungs, exposes the areola, so it can pick up the energy of the prana. And the prana is what energizes our bag of water. If the prana wasn't in our environment, we would just be, water in a bag and some trace elements, and we wouldn't be doing much. It wouldn't give us life, And so I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to count from 1 to 3. And as I do, you're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper into a state of conscious, underline that word 1,000 times, conscious awareness of who and where you are. See it clearly. So you're breathing in that 20%. You're breathing out the 30%. Why are you breathing out 30%? Because you empty your lungs. You evacuate all the crap in your body. Your breath, eliminates more toxins than pissing and crapping and sweating, right? So be there now. You're breathing in the 20%, breathing in that prana. Your conscious mind is totally going to sleep. The squirrel is going to sleep. You're not thinking about your laundry list of, oh, I got to do this, I got to. No, you are focused on your breath, right? And as you do that, you see the blood go through, your heart pumps it into your lungs, your areola is wide open, and it is injecting all that prana into your blood. Your blood is iron rich. It's an electrical, commutator, so the blood swirls through your veins. It doesn't go blub blub blub. It swirls through your veins, right? And as it does it, inside the swirl against the walls of your veins, arteries, and capillaries, inside that swirl is another swirl going the other way. And inside that swirl, there's another swirl going 90 degrees parallax to it. Thus, it's turning your blood into an alternating, um, akashic, photonic, scalar generator, right? Just like um, Anthony H. How you doing, buddy? Who said oral illumination, So that's what this is right up here. It's my chakras um, antenna, right? And it's sending that pranic energy out to you guys across the vastness of the internet, right? And you're all of you are, um, you know, conscious of your spiritual self, and you have let go of your illusionary, materialistic existence, right? And by doing that, you are now looking at every cell of your body, and the RNA is zipping apart and opening up the cell as it splits, right? As the RNA unzips, the two that cell turns into two cells. And around the cell structure is your mitochondria. It's like little lightning bolts. And it's energizing the, the dipolar separation of that one cell into two cells, right? And as it's opening up, before it has come two separate things from one, um, you can look into the vastness of the universe between the opening of the RNA of the DNA. And you can look in there and you can see all of time and space. And you can see that it isn't the Big Bang. The Big Bang was, um, you know, Lucifer, the number one angel of heaven, was so pissed off when love's co-creation made us with free wills. Lucifer was this total um, whack job who was head of the corporate structure of heaven, right? And everyone had to go along with the business plan. And when, you know, the essence of all of existence, love's co creation, created this new thing called the soul of free will, Lucifer really pissed off. And like a little petulant child, exploded heaven. And that was the Big Bang. And that's where we got this illusion of a material world, illusion of time, illusion of space, right? Does not exist. The only thing that exists is love's co creation. And so Lucifer is dragging everyone into this hellish existence. And you don't have to have a hellish existence. You can exercise your free will. And by illuminating your imaginary mirror, that's your eyelids, where you have REM sleep, but you're consciously now illuminating your imaginary mirror, and you're seeing that white existence all around you, right? And that light is not incandescent. Incandescent, see, gives a shadow. Photonic light, no shadow whatsoever. No shadow whatsoever. So you're in your, imaginary mirror. You are projecting that white light into your subconscious. You illuminate your subconscious. You go in there, and you see it's not a scary place. It's a library. You're walking into this library, and all these big books are everywhere. And there's a gigantic fireplace in front of you. And they look like it's made of these gigantic big stones, but no, they're big books. And in that fireplace, what is burning is the blue flame of eternal love, right? And in front of that fireplace, there's some very nice lounge chairs. So when you have guests, and they can transport themselves, just like in Harry Potter, how people zipped around up the flues of fireplaces. That's a reality, right? Um, that's in your Akashic record. So you can go up that chimney to any place. You don't need to take a bus or a train or an airplane or walk. You can just go straight up that fireplace. So you're walking in there, and on your right hand side is the 9 doors. And the one that's open is the doorway to your subconscious mind, the sanctuary of your own choice. But right in the middle, facing the fireplace, is your reading table, right? And above it is a photonic light. So the table is illuminated clearly. There are no shadows. Whatever you're looking at is what it is, right? No illusions. And to your left is your librarian who brings you your Akashic record, your animal totem who's there as a griot You can see a lot of information in your Akashic record, but you may not understand it. Your animal totem will tell you a story that after that story is told, you go, oh, now I understand. And next to the left of your librarian is your animal totem. To the left of your animal totem is your guardian angel who's always got your back. Now, you may see things that scare you. That truth can scare you because if you're coming from this oh, motif of anxiety of the illusion, oh, you make me feel so anxious. Oh, well, unless, good thoughts bring good words, bring good actions, good deeds, good outcomes. That comes from the truth of your Akashic record. But if you're, going by the illusion, oh, I got to pay my bills. Oh, I want sex with young girls and uh, buddies, and oh, what I want. Oh, I'm just so. No, that's the illusion. You don't want that illusion. Get rid of that illusion. Anthony H. Why did I get so many degrees? Because I got paid to go to school. you know, and they were. I didn't matriculate. I was doing projects, and my superiors would say, "Oh, you need a degree, to give us authority and validity. You who are doing the work, you need a degree." So they would just pull a degree out of their desk and sign it, and here you go, you got this degree. So that's how I got so many degrees. Like I said, I got more degrees than a thermometer. Psycho, social, cultural, forensic, anthropologic, and those were all degrees I got, right? And the best way, I had great teachers, great, and here you are in your Akashic record. Every great teacher, you go through that door into your sanctuary of your own choosing, your superconscious mind. That, you come down the bridge of your id and you walk into your sanctuary. So we're doing that. We're walking through that doorway. We're going over that bridge. We're walking down into your at the top of the bridge. Look down. You can overstand everything in your existence by being on top of that bridge, looking down into your sanctuary. And you see over there is the meadow, right? And there's a gazebo, and there's the tree of knowledge, the tree of life. There is the great link, the pond of the great link that we all are part of, right? And then to the south, there's, where the carnival is, and the circus tent. And up above that is our house, the house of the Oracle of Delphi, right? That looks like, you know, um, that house by the great architect who did Falling Water, you know? And that's our house. You walk into that lobby, and it's this great, gigantic space, big hallway. Again, the 9 doors, and then there's a coat room, and then there's the common space, and there is the space where the hedgerow longhouse is, where all go to speak truth to each other. There is the dining hall, and then we all individually have our own sanctuary, right? Our own hambu, right? And go back and go look at all the other videos I did of these guided meditations that are much more. I'm just doing the, swinging you through this, right? And you need to do this yourself. When you can meditate every day 4 or 5 times, you will so balance yourself that you won't have any problems. You will be able to see what you need to do. You'll be able to do what you need to do. You will be awake. How I keep myself awake all the time is that I'm praying and meditating all the frigging time. So that's how I can find, you know, $40 to $100 in my car every time I go look for it, right? It's like a big piggy bank, you know. And I've like cleaned it out and then put all my crap back in, and then look for, oh, look at that, whatever I'm looking for. Oh, look, I need that screwdriver. Oh, I need that drill. Oh, I don't remember putting it in. I don't remember buying it, but whenever I need it, there it is, because that's shamanism, right? because what people call I live in the real world, you were making all this stuff up. And like I keep saying, don't believe anything I say, you know. You have to do this yourself. I can lead by example. I can be your griot, tell you stories, give you insights. But it's up for you. I can't make you do it. My mom used to say, you can drag a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You need to drink that knowledge. I can offer it to you, but you need to drink it yourself, right? So I'm going to be quiet right now because I have to go check on the boiler because it's getting pretty toasty in here. And I thought I'd, put the governor on. I don't want the house to burn down. So I'm going to leave you guys meditating, right? I'll be right back. Right? Okay. There's my magic aura stick. Ooh, excuse me. I'll be right back. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Well, yeah, coal really heats. So, 2, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of conscious relaxation. You're in your sanctuary of your own choosing. You're sitting on your picnic blanket in your meadow, and you're looking up at your gazebo. And I want you to think of a question. You walk up the stairs to the top of the gazebo. Again, you have another overstanding point of view. And I want you to think of that question and then turn, 180 degrees around, and the person who's facing you will give you the answer. So think that question, say it out loud, turn around, bingo, there's somebody, either rich, famous, well known, or not known. Somebody you know, somebody you don't know, but they will speak. You ask them the question, they will give you the answer. So ask that question, a deep, penetrating, most important question that will give you the key to the things that are missing in your life. Ask that question. Now listen. hear the answer that person tells you. And it will be so truthful, it will reach into your heart and you will start to cry. And those tears will release that angst that has been holding you away from being able to find the peace, love, charity, and understanding that you need in your life. See it clearly. Receive this, right? Accept it. Open yourself up to it. See it clearly. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners, and now in the hour of our death. Amen. As was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without end. And in every day and every way, you take the peace of the earth and you make it stronger to serve love's co-creation. So love, bless you indeed. Enlarge your territory. Love's hand is on your shoulder, co-creating to keep you safe from evil, so you will not do harm to others. See that clearly. So breathe deep, breathe out. Breathe in that 20% and breathe out that 30%, right? Eliminate all the toxins, right? Go back to your reading table. Your librarian brings you your Akashic record. You open it up. Put your right hand on the blank right page. You put your left hand on the left page. And you lean into your Akashic record. And you evacuate all the anger, all the fear, all the self-loathing. See it clearly. Feel how light, refreshed. You feel like a newborn soul, because you are. You are truly born again. Now you're sitting at your reading table in your perfect reading chair with the perfect photonic light illuminating your Akashic record. And those two blank pages that you've just eliminated, evacuated all that angst, all that hate, all that anger, closed the book, boom, and it's no longer inside of you. You feel that you're like a light balloon, right? You open up the book, and there's his screen, right? And around the big screen are 28 little screens. Now, whatever you want to see what, the path of all of your reincarnations. You can see it right there. Just ask. Bingo. There it is. Those 28 little screens will give you the Akashic slash photonic slash energetic perspective, multidimensional perspective of your existence. So we normally, in our ugly bag of water perspective, see everything two-dimensionally, but with you're going to see 28 dimensions, right? So see this clearly now. See it clearly. See it clearly. See it clearly. See it clearly. Feel yourself opening up to truth of love's co-creation. From this moment on, when you are awake, and your job, number one, is to be awake from this point on. Right? We have these 13 months of opportunity. And the best way to spend this opportunity is to cleanse, clear, and focus yourself to your own truth that's internalized inside your heart and your free will soul to ascend. Not just to stick in the same lower chakras, right? Stop masturbating. It's okay when you're a mud puppet. But as you ascend, love is more than masturbation. See that clearly, right? See it clearly. See it clearly. You know, the sexual drive was put there by Lucifer to motivate you to procreate. So you would have the vehicle to be incarnated and incarcerated in these bags of water. You know, life after 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 life. And that's just the first few days, right? You've been doing this now eternities, right? Start embracing your brethren. You've got one right here in the cadre, all your relations, right? So you guys need to be talking to each other. You got this great thing called the internet. You're all over the planet, you know? Talk to each other, you know? And talk to me, you know? Come get a hold of me at the dude awake 42 at Gmail. You know, I'd much rather talk to you guys and the moron trolls. You know, at least a third of all of my everyday Gmail is from these morons, right? And then another third is fracking, you know, what do they call that stuff? Spam, you know? And, you know, out of the 30 to 100 Gmails I get a day, maybe six are from you guys who I want to read, right? And, um, and you can ask me anything you want. You can ask me anything you want here, but you can, in privacy of the Gmail, you can ask me anything. And if you are living in America, give me your phone number. I'll give you a buzz. We can talk. Very good at listening. I'm good at telling you stories, but I'm even better at listening. You know? Anthony, it is good to see you. I'm glad you've come back. And many of you haven't been on the chats for a while, and that's okay. But you're coming back, and that's a great blessing for us all. So say we all, you know. And we have 13 months to prepare. You know, we have like 4 months to prepare. You know, we have December, January, February, March, April. You know, so we got 4 months to prepare. So I want you all to deeply go into meditation, see in your Akashic record the path you want to take. You know, and I am here for you. You want anything? Get a hold of me at the Dude Awake 42 Gmail. Right? You know, communicate whatever you need that you want to amongst the cadre. You know, aloha, aho, aho. I love you all. You know, and just close your eyes and breathe in that eternal blue flame. Let it let it burn out the residue of all that angst that you have been suffering for life upon life upon life upon life. I am here to serve. And what makes me happy is to be able to serve my cadre. And it's not my cadre because it's our cadre. Right? As you as adepts and I your sensei, that relationship goes back and forth. You teach me, I teach you. You teach me, I teach you. That's the blessed way. That is the way of love's co-creation. And that's the path we all need to follow. You know, if an X flare were to hit us this second, just like when the electricity went out last night, it was like experiencing the X flare. Um, you know, I was happy from the chat we did last night. You know, that buddy, I saw you again last night for the first time in a while, and I was so happy that you came back. And Anthony, you're here. Uh, For a long time, I haven't seen you. And all the others who, Uncle Fugnuts, you come in, you go out, and that's fine. I'm here to serve. I'm here to love you, right? Not really ask anything from you, right? If you want to drop a little offering in my little, PayPal at the dude awake 42 at Gmail, that's fine. You know, because I always get what I need. I always have what I need. You know, so it's not. You know, I didn't spend my last $10 this afternoon on lunch because I read everyone's palm in that restaurant, and they all kind of energetically. I was there. I was energetically at the place where we were in the hospital. I was there energetically all day long of all the people who came in and out of my life, whether they consciously were observing me doing what I do, or they just walked by. It had an effect. And all of you have that kind of effect on everyone that comes across your life every day in every way. You take the piece of the earth and you make it stronger. That's what it's about. We don't have to have any political party or, have the new age, you know, awakening, because we're already awake. You just have to be conscious of being awake, you know? So we're heading towards 3 hours here, gang. And I'm happy to be with you. And so, what questions do you have for me? So let's breathe and exhale. Breathe and exhale. And you're still in your Akashic record, and you're still looking at your Akashic record, and you're still seeing the big screen, and you're seeing your past lives. You're seeing the experiences you had, some that traumatized, some that, and every trauma you have, every cloud has a silver lining, you know. Um, in my three rules, don't get involved unless you have an exit strategy, right? Don't get involved unless you are there to serve, to safely protect the innocent and get them out of harm's way. Don't get involved unless you can learn something. And primarily, first and foremost, doctor, do no harm. And the problem with the material, mud puppet world is that if you are stuck in that unconsciousness, the major peripheral of um, of that existence is fear, anger, self-loathing. Thing is to not go there. So, it's at 3 hours and 30 seconds, 33 seconds. I'm going to say goodnight. I'm getting a little tuckered out. Um, so go back and watch all the rest of them. Put them down on thumb drives. Take them, use them to make any other piece of art you want. Edit them any way you want, because the guys who are the trolls who are going to make it you look so miserable. Well, that's kind of impossible to do. You know. So, hey, gang.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. Just finishing up here. Where were you guys? Did you just show up?
Yeah, we just came through the door.
Okay, good. Good.
We knew the lights. They said the lights weren't going to come on until about 8, so we were just
Oh, where'd you go to watch Christmas lights?
Oh no, we just been hanging out with some friends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, we just. we're hanging out.
So I moved all the stuff out of here so we can decorate tomorrow.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about were we going to decorate it in here, or were we going to move around it in there and do it in the living room, or put a tree up? So we've been kind of debating where we want to put it.
Where
But,
do you want to put
we
it?
kind of we was kind of talking about it, and our thoughts was that if you needed or wanted to stay until after Christmas and get yourself together,
Well,
get a
that'd be
solid
nice.
place, that you could do that. And
I really appreciate that. It's nice to, whether I do it or not, it's nice to be able to have that offering. I appreciate that.
so but our thoughts are that if you choose that you want to do that,
Right.
is like you say, you just keep all your stuff.
Yeah, as you can see, I already got rid of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
we can move, we can, like I have that box there that you could fit all your papers in that, and that would,
I just that
energy.
was I stole, this is also my election. And after the election, I just haven't been able to
Put those papers away.
well get to pull myself to it. The other day, I did work furiously before I left, because I knew I had to put together my paperwork
Mm-hmm.
and to have my report that had to turn in by the day. So I have to, they'll fine me if I
Right.
didn't. So I worked hard on that before I left, so that while I was there, all I had to do was punch a few buttons and send it.
Well, that's good.
But the rest of this, I haven't been able to.
Like I said, I emptied out one of my boxes, and you could stick all your paperwork in that box, and then it would be there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through it and determine where, because that's still mailed in there, and I got to get the stuff off the sofa. But
Right.
But when I come in here and I will get myself together, and we're just gonna clean this carpet, because we my niece wasted all that coffee right there. So we're just gonna move some stuff around. This dresser, we're gonna pull it up out of here. Period.
Right. I got my stuff out of the way, so
Okay.
you could
So
go
just
for it.
wanted to give you that option. And
Well, I really
if you chose
appreciate it.
to take it, that's fine. If not,
Well, it's the best thing that makes me feel really good is to have that option. So I'm not pressured to
Yeah, well, I'm me personally. I always have to feel like that I need to have that discussion with Travis, because it's not just my house, but he is he is such a generous man.
Yeah, he is. And you're a generous woman, so I really
he,
appreciate it.
And so he wanted to give you that option. We do want to clean out the refrigerator.
Okay.
And so if there's anything
in
there,
I'll do that tomorrow. I'll
pull
take
it
it.
out, or
Right.
do whatever.
Right.
And I think I left that chicken in there, because when you put your hand in there, it's like, ooh. So I think I left some chicken in there.
So that's my project tomorrow, is to clean the refrigerator.
Okay, so we clean the fridge,
Right.
and everybody gets in their spots.
Right.
And get all their stuff in their spots.
Right. And I pretty much the food that I made, I pretty much ate most of it, and the food that can be used new is in a can. So what's there is So tomorrow's my project is to clean the fridge out.
You do that. He has this little refrigerator thing.
Right. I got it.
Little quirks.
Right. No, I got it.
But other than that, we good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, my little Mr. Light Man. Somebody loves the lights, though. We gonna have to have a little light issue. Somebody loves lights.
Well, you know why I like Christmas lights? Christmas lights use very, very little electricity.
AP, they when they send their little bill, they don't care.
Right,
Whether you like them, you don't like them. So we just do a little light adjustment. But,
well, the bottom line is when I'm not using it, I'll turn it off.
Okay, got it. Okay, we're good then.
Right. That's a rule I can use.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well. Okay.
Okay. So you like my headdress?
Yeah. Well, that's Al.
just, ow. Okay.
Surprise, let's just say that.
Well, you know me long enough. I don't know if anything can surprise you. Anyway, so okay, here it is. We're getting close to. So that was my hosts. Yep. Okay, gang. I'll see you later. Tomorrow. And tomorrow. And tomorrow. And here we're coming up 3 hours and 33 seconds. I will say goodnight. So bless us indeed. Enlarge our territory. Put your hand on our shoulders to keep us from evil, so we will do no harm. Aho. And so say we all. Until tomorrow. There we are. Boop-a-doop-boop-boop.